Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, I'm Evan and I'm excited to have you. Today I am going to do a tag video, which I've never done before, and I wasn't technically tagged to do the video, but I'm just going to take it upon myself to do it because this week is Independent Booksellers Week in London. It runs from June 18th to June 25th, so I think when this video goes live there will be 2 more days of it. But I'm really excited because I watch a lot of London-based booktubers, and they always talk about the coolest bookshops and this event last year, and this year I'm actually in London for the Booksellers, Independent Booksellers Week, and it was kind of a coincidence. I'm going for a wedding in Ireland and having a little stopover in London, and it just so happened that it's during this week, and so I'm going to definitely take the opportunity to go to some of these independent bookshops and buy some new books. There are a few things that I either like the British cover much better, or there are books that have been released there that haven't been released here in the US, so I'm only buying those books. If I can get them here in the States, I'm not going to bother buying them because, you know, heavy suitcases and things. But if they are not available in the US, or I like the cover better, which is the case for I think 2 of the books on my list that I'm looking for, I'm going to pick them up there and support the Independent Booksellers Week and all of the independent booksellers in London, or the ones that I end up going to. So I'm super excited, and let's just dive right into this tag. So the first question is, what book is currently in your bag or books? I have been carrying around Me Before You for the last week. I ended up finishing a book in the airport. I had like 10 pages left and I took it with me anyway, and then my flight kind of got a little delayed and I was like, well, what am I gonna do? So I went into the bookshop in the airport. This was sitting there. It doesn't have the movie cover. I never buy books that have the movie cover, but this is one of the most hyped books I feel like right now. Obviously the movie just came out and I wanted to read the book before the movie, but so far I like this. I'm about a third of the way, halfway through this book, so I definitely will finish it on the plane on my way to London, and then just throw it in my suitcase and bring it back with me. So question number 2 is, what is the last great book that you read? So I just finished Villa America. I put a review of it up on my blog, which I will link down below, but I thought this was a beautiful book. It follows the Murphys, Gerald and Sarah Murphy, who were friends with the likes of the Fitzgeralds and the Hemingways, kind of that whole art scene after World War I, in between World War II. And I just really enjoyed this book. I like Zelda Fitzgerald, I like F. Scott Fitzgerald, I think their stories are really interesting, and this just kind of had little snippets of them, but also Sarah and Gerald Murphy were fascinating people that I didn't know about until I picked up this book. This is a historical fiction, so it's based off of letters and other stories, biographies, and things that have been written about all of these people. The author's note in this book was fascinating because it kind of showed which letters she rewrote using letters that were actually written, and it gave a lot of really other cool factual biographies that you could read about all of these people, so I would definitely recommend picking this one up. So question number 3 is, what book have you gifted the most? And to be honest, I sat and thought about this, and I don't really gift books very often. I think that's very difficult to do. I enjoy going to bookshops with friends and like helping them pick stuff out, but everyone definitely has like a different taste in books. But I do gift notebooks a lot, and this was actually a notebook that I was just gifted. It's from Rifle Paper Company. It's a travel memoir notebook. So when you open it up, it has a blank page with like a little cute airplane. Rifle Paper always has the best designed stuff. Location and date, and then just some lined paper so you can write what you did on those days that you're traveling. So I'm definitely taking this with me. So I think if you don't want to gift a book, but you have like bookish friends, or you're a very bookish person and you want to give something that's kind of personal, go pick up a really cute notebook. I saw a ton of really cute ones at Marshall's over the weekend, and like I said, Rifle Paper, you can't go wrong. Their stuff is always really cute. So number 4, what's your favorite independent bookshop? I am not entirely sure if it's an independent bookshop, but the Strand in New York is definitely my favorite place to buy books. I wandered in there last October, I think it was. It was last fall sometime. It was very cold outside and we walked in and it was warm and toasty, and I just really enjoyed going through all of the shelves. It's kind of like Powell's in Portland, which I also really loved, but all of the used and new books are shelved together. on giant bookshelves. But it was a great experience. It was really, really fun, and I definitely recommend going there if you're in New York. And if you're on this coast, the West Coast that is, definitely check out Powell's because that was another really cool experience. Question number 5 is, what is your favorite book recommended by either a booktuber or a bookseller? And those have to be the Ton of French books. I have talked about these so much, probably too much on my blog and on my YouTube channel, but I really enjoy these mysteries. They're kind of thriller mysteries. A lot of psychology goes into them. In the Woods is the first one, and then The Likeness is the second one, and I already have the third one on my shelf. It's on my TBR pile, so hopefully I will get to that this summer. They're not quick reads. There's a lot going on, and if you take it slowly, you can kind of unravel some of the mystery. For this genre, I'm really kind of bad about figuring out what happens in the end before I even get halfway through the book, and I don't have that with these books. So I don't like reading mysteries that are easy to solve because it just makes it a little boring for me, but these ones keep me hooked all the way to the very end. So I'm really excited that someone on Booktube was talking about them, and then I think when I went to go pick them up, there was a little staff recommendation at the store when I bought them, so that's kind of a 2-for-1. I got recommended by a booktuber and I think it was a Barnes & Noble's staff person that recommended The Likeness. Number 6 is, what is your favorite bookshop memory? And honestly, I keep going back to the one I kind of already described, but going into the Strand last fall, it was just really amazing. I had never been into a bookstore quite like that, on that scale. Obviously, I've been into used bookshops before, but more along the likes of half-price books. And places like Hastings. If you're from the Midwest, you know what Hastings is. And it was just really cool going into this giant older building with all of these books, and there were so many people in there who obviously loved books, and that was very, very cool. I kind of had the same experience walking into Powell's. Like I said, they're very similar, just on different coasts, and it's just kind of overwhelming to see that many books in one place. So that was really cool, and I just really enjoyed both of those. So question number 7 is, what do bookshops mean to you and what do you love about them? And I think what I love most about bookshops, other than the smell, I just absolutely love the smell of walking into a bookshop, and I wish they could accurately convey that in a candle, because I would burn that candle all of the time, especially if there's a cafe in the bookstore. That's even better because then you get like the paper and the books and the coffee smell, and that's amazing. But also I just love the opportunity that going into a bookstore presents you. There are so many books, and there's so much to learn, and there's so much to enjoy, and you can go in and have a new opportunity every time you open up a new book, and I just think that's very, very cool. Question number 8, I want to read this one correctly, are, what are the books that made you? Which ones have most affected you or influenced you? So I'm not entirely sure if books have made me or really changed a lot about me. I know I've read a lot of books over my years, mostly for enjoyment, but the book that came to mind immediately when I read this question was The Wizard of Oz. I grew up collecting Wizard of Oz stuff. I love the movie, and the book is amazing, and I feel like a lot of people haven't actually read the book. It's very short, as you can see. There's usually really pretty pictures in all of the editions, and it's a children's book, so I would definitely recommend picking this up. I just think it's a really cool story, and there's a lot of underlying adult symbolism, and you can go on and Google for hours and hours and hours of all of the themes that L. Frank Baum was trying to convey through this book. And then the book that probably affected me most was The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. This book, I am not a crier, and this book actually made me cry. It's a beautiful story. It's definitely not something that you want to pick up if you're already in a down mood, because you're just going to get a little further down. But if you want to read something that's beautifully written, a beautiful story, this one is definitely going to make you think. Question number 9 is, what is a book that you would recommend for Father's Day? Unfortunately, this video is not going to go up in time for Father's Day. Father's Day was actually yesterday, but I can answer the question anyway. I mean, what's a good book to give your dad in general? It doesn't have to be Father's Day to give your dad a present, but I like to give my dad biographies. I like to give cookbooks, and I like to give coffee table books. So actually, in reality, I don't think I've ever given my dad a cookbook or a coffee table book. Coffee table books are always great because you can find like a niche hobby that they're really into, and biographies are also really great because you can give books that are something that they're really interested in. Number 10 is what are the top books on your TBR pile, and so I have 3, and all 3 of them are coming with me to Europe because long plane rides, long train rides, I'm going to be reading quite a bit. So the first one is Beautiful Ruins, a novel by Jess Walter. I love this cover. It's been pretty hyped, this book. I've heard about it quite a bit all over Booktube, all over the bookstores. It's always on the staff recommended table. But I like this cover and I like this size because it's easier to travel with. Next one is a little bigger, and this one might be staying home because it's hardback and that's always hard to travel with. But it's Emma. It's a modern retelling of Jane Austen's Emma. And so because I'm going to the UK, I figured I might take along Outlander. I like reading books about places that I'm about to go see. This takes place in the British Isles, but I think mostly in Scotland, and unfortunately I'm not going to get to go to Scotland this trip, but I'll be in the vicinity. So if I take this one and then this little guy for backup, I think I'll be covered on the reading front while I'm traveling. So that is the Independent Booksellers Week. I'll post a link down below to their website because I think it's a really cool thing, and I wish more areas did something like this to support independent bookshops because they're kind of all getting eaten up by the big, like the Barnes and Nobles and all of that, which I love Barnes and Nobles, don't get me wrong, but it's always fun to go into like an independent bookshop, a used bookshop. I have 3 that I'm definitely going to visit while I'm in London. I might not get to spend as much time in them as I want because it's definitely a very short trip. Make sure you follow along my social medias. I'll be traveling for the next couple of weeks, so you can follow along on Twitter and Pinterest. Well, not really Pinterest, there's not a lot of travel stuff I can post there, but that link's down below nonetheless. My Goodreads channel is down below, and my Instagram, where I'll be posting quite a bit during my travels, so you can follow along if you like. Don't forget to subscribe because I'm pre-filming all of these videos so that there are plenty of videos going up while I am traveling, and I will see you guys in my next video. Love you lots. Bye.